Welcome back to Frugalman Outdoors. Today I'm going to show you how I would like to make a DIY chicken feeder and a chicken waterer. I'm going to use these 5-gallon buckets, feeding tray, and the tools that I'm going to need: drill, a knife, a large drill bit. I have a 1/2 inch, a small drill bit. That one I believe is 3/16. The star bit for using the screws, and we need 4 screws. We'll also need 3 small washers and a 2-inch hole saw. It doesn't have to be a 2-inch. It could be 2 1/4, 1 3/4, just whatever you have on hand, but I have a 2-inch. Same thing goes for the large drill bit. Some people use around 3/8. I like to go up to about a 1/2 inch. You could even go larger if you want, but I'm going to use the 1/2 inch. You also need just a random block of wood. Piece of scrap, doesn't have to be anything special. And then a small piece of branch for a cork. What I did here was I took a piece of branch and I whittled the edges down to where it would fit in the hole that I'm going to be making with this drill bit, and then tied a string on it. But I'll show you what I use that for in a little bit. So for starters, the buckets. Regular 5-gallon buckets with lids. Now one of them has to have a pour spout lid, or a lid that has the screw top on it to where it can be removed easily. The other lid doesn't have to be anything special, just a lid, just to keep the dirt and debris out of the feeder. So we're going to start with the feeder. Now the feeding tray, you don't have to have specific feeding trays. You can have any type of tray as long as the bucket is smaller than the tray. A couple inches around the outside, that way as the feed and the water travels down through, the chickens have room to get to it. At Dollar Tree they actually have oil drainage basins, which are slightly larger than a bucket, which would work also, and they're only $1.25, maybe $1.50 each. But I'm going to use the feeder pans because that's what I have. Okay, I'll move these tools out of the way. So I'm going to start with my pan and my feeder bucket. Now the feeder bucket, I'm going to take a block of wood and screw it through the bottom to the inside. Now this screw does not need a washer on it. Oops. Now this screw is just basically to hold the block of wood into place. Okay, now it's not going to fall out. Next, we'll take the 2-inch hole saw. Now as close to the bottom as possible without cutting through the bottom lip. I'm going to put multiple holes around the outside. Just like that. And notice it's real close to the bottom on the inside. So I'm going to repeat this process. I believe I'm going to put 5 holes in it. And there we have it. I've got 5 2-inch holes real close to the bottom of the bucket. Now you'll notice we have a bunch of fiber plastic all the way around these holes, and we'll take the razor knife and trim that off. That way we don't get any plastic in the feed. Okay, now that that's all cleaned off, we're going to take the feeding pan and center it over top of the bucket from the bottom side. It doesn't have to be perfect, just kind of center it however it feels about right. And then we'll take the 3 washers and the 3 screws. And we're going to screw this pan to the bottom of the bucket. It's going to travel through the bucket into the block of wood. The washers is so the screws don't suck through the rubber pan, or plastic one if you get a different type. Make sure your screws are shorter than the board. I guess it really doesn't matter, but if you put your hand down inside there, you don't want to stab your fingers with points of the screws. This one didn't catch, so I need to relocate it. And there we go. Now, as the feed goes in, it spills out through the holes into where the chickens could eat it. And now we have a lid to keep trash, debris, turkey droppings, chicken droppings, anything out of the feed. And you also have a handle. So I'm going to take a string or a wire and hang it here, and then hang it inside the chicken coop here in just a little bit. Show you what it looks like when I pour the feed in. And here we have access to the feed. And as the chickens eat, the feed falls through. It's self-feeding, gravitational feed. Now we're going to set this aside and we'll start on the waterer. Same thing. We start with a feeding pan, 5-gallon bucket with a lid that has a pour spout in it. Now I've seen other videos where they take the bucket with the lid on it, drill holes up close to the lid, fill it up, and then turn the bucket over inside the pan. That works just fine. But I have a bad back and arthritis, and water weighs 8 pounds per gallon. At 5 gallons, that's 40 pounds. I don't want to have to try to muscle or turn over a 40-pound bucket of water. Say I have a hurting. Say if somebody's elderly and wants to take care of chickens but don't want to have to pick up that much weight. This way, you don't have to handle the weight of the water. What I do, I'm going to take the distance of this pan. Whatever pan you have, make sure to test your distance, set your pan down and your bucket. Take something and take a look. You could use a Sharpie or marker or something and look at the depth of where the pan is. You want your holes to be drilled about 1 inch below the top of your pan. That way it's below the water line. So right here I have mark. I'm going to make sure the hole that I drill is going to be below that mark. So I'm going to put a mark about there. Now I know that mark that I made is below the water line. So I'm going to put one good hole right there. And now I'm going to put the lid on the bucket. I'm going to snap it down good and tight. Now there's a seal inside this lid, which is going to make it to where it's watertight. In case you're wondering about my buckets, they're mismatched. I get my buckets for free. I find them on the side of the highway. When you're driving down the road, if you see a bucket on the side of the road, pull over, pick it up. That's $5 for a bucket, $7 for a bucket with a lid. My wife and I took a trip to Texas about a month ago, and we saw 30 buckets on the side of the road each direction, or about 30 buckets. So say that's 60 buckets. If we pulled over and picked up every one of those buckets, say 40 of them were in good shape to use, at $5 a bucket, that's $200 worth of buckets. Could have saved a lot of money. Not sure where I got this one or the other one, but I always collect buckets. Anyway, back to it. Now we have the feeder and the bucket. The cork, that piece of wood that I whittled down, that fits right in that hole, and I push it in good and tight. I have a string on there for hanging. When you do that and you take this lid off, now you can fill the bucket up with water. Make sure it's in place where you want to feed the chickens and water your chickens. That way you don't have to pick up that 40 pounds of water. I'll show you how it works. First, make sure you have your plug in the bucket. And then you take your water hose and put it in here and let it flow. Now the cork that I made might leak just a little bit, but it's not designed to keep all the water in. It's just keeping the water from rushing out as fast as I'm pushing it in. So I'm not going to put a full 5-gallon bucket of water in here right now because I have to pick it up and take it over to the chicken coop. But this is just for test purposes. Also, with the cork being 2-3 inches off the bottom, there's going to be about 3 inches of water left in this bucket. So when the water runs out for the chickens, there's still a little bit of water in the bottom bucket to hold it in place. That way it doesn't get knocked around the chicken coop. Hopefully I don't get to that point, and I always keep it full. But if the chickens drink so much that they empty it, at least the bucket will be where it belongs. There's about 3 gallons in there. Now, with the laws of physics, you can put the lid on here so the air does not travel in through the top. Don't want to make it excessively tight because it is plastic, it'll strip, but snug it down. Then remove the cork. Now what's happening here is as the water comes out, the air goes in and allows the water to get to the level of the hole. Now right there, it's lugging down. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open this up till the water gets to the level faster, and then I'll put the lid back on. Okay, there, it's almost at a hole. And now I'm going to tighten it back up. That will stop the airflow. And there it is. Now, as the chickens drink the water, that starts to lug and allow more water to come out of the bucket. Gravitational feed of water. And it's automatic with 5 gallons. And there it is. It stopped when it got to the proper level. There you go. Put the lid back on, pull the cork out. It pressurizes a little bit, and there we go. There's enough water there to sustain them for several days. You see back here, I hung the feeder up, easy to get to. All I do is take that lid off, pour the feed right in the top. Will you be quiet? I'm trying to make a video. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe and share with your friends. See you next time.